A reworked version of the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act is on its way to the New Mexico House floor, but still faces major challenges when it gets there. The 377th Test and Evaluation Group from Kirtland Air Force Base took part in the testing of an ICBM missile in California. Two national experts who are trying to reform CYFD have warned that some legislation could make that effort more difficult. And the University of New Mexico and Mayor Tim Keller's office have signed a memorandum of understanding that could bring the university downtown. From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Thursday, February 20th, 2025, and I'll have more on those stories, plus Albuquerque's weather forecast on the other side of this break.
This episode is brought to you by the Kirtland Partnership Committee. For 30 years, we've been dedicated to supporting, growing, and preserving the Kirtland National Security Complex. We work tirelessly to enhance military readiness, foster community partnerships, improve quality of life, and promote economic development right here in New Mexico. Join us in our mission to ensure that Kirtland remains a cornerstone of national security and a key provider of quality jobs and investment for all of Greater Albuquerque. Together, we can make a powerful impact. Kirtland Partnership Committee, proudly shaping the future of our national security for 30 years.
A significantly altered version of the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act, or House Bill 11, is heading to the New Mexico House floor after passing the House Commerce and Economic Development Committee by a narrow 6-5 vote on Wednesday. The bill, which has failed in past House votes, now has a month to clear both chambers before reaching the governor's desk. The revised proposal lowers the cost for businesses and employees while also reducing the amount of paid medical leave available. Employers with 5 or more workers and employees will still contribute to a wellness fund, with employers at a 0.15% rate or $1.50 per $1,000 earned, and employees at 0.2% or $2 per $1,000 earned. However, the funding for parental leave would come from the state's Early Childhood Education and Care Department rather than additional payroll contributions. The legislation also reduces paid leave for medical, bereavement, foster care, exigency, or safety reasons from 9 weeks to 6 weeks. Parents, however, could still receive up to 12 weeks of leave with a $3,000 monthly benefit per child through a separate state fund. Employees and employers could begin paying premiums in 2027, with benefits starting in 2028. Bill sponsor Linda Serrato, a Democrat from Santa Fe, acknowledged the compromise, noting that both premium rates and leave times were adjusted. Supporters, including House Speaker Javier Martinez, argue the bill benefits families, workers, and businesses alike, while making New Mexico's approach unique compared to similar programs in 13 other states and Washington, D.C. Despite the changes, Republican lawmakers and business leaders remained opposed, calling it a burdensome tax increase and expressing concern over workforce disruptions. House Minority Floor Leader Gail Armstrong, a Republican from Magdalena, criticized the mandate, arguing it limits employers' ability to make benefit decisions for their workers. An amendment introduced by Representative Marion Matthews, a Democrat from Albuquerque, to exempt caregiving employees from paying premiums was tabled, and Matthews ultimately joined the Republicans in voting against the bill. The bill has passed the Senate in previous years but has repeatedly failed in the House, including a 2-vote loss last year. Notably, 3 Democrats who opposed it in 2023 lost their seats in the 2024 election. Senate President Pro Tem Mimi Stewart, a Democrat from Albuquerque, expressed confidence that the bill will pass the Senate with full Democratic support if it clears the House. It's now up to Speaker Martinez to schedule the bill for a House floor vote, where it faces another critical test.
The floor debate is going to be really interesting. We saw some tensions pop out of this committee debate. I mean, it was a 4-hour-long committee debate, so everybody is tired by the end of it. And
Journal co-business editor Megan Gleason has been covering the session for the paper.
Floor Minority Leader Gail Armstrong kind of said she was a little upset that rules got broken, and she ended her comments by saying, "We'll see you guys on the floor." So I think they're going to get prepped to introduce some amendments, try to change the bill some more.
The United States Air Force launched an unarmed Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California early Wednesday as part of routine testing. The missile, which was randomly selected from the U.S. arsenal and stripped of its nuclear material, was transported to the base where it underwent months of preparation, including the installation of telemetry and tracking systems. After a 2-hour delay to ensure a clear flight path, the missile was launched at 1 a.m., soaring over the Pacific Ocean to its designated landing landing site at Kwajalein Atoll in the Marshall Islands. Fully armed, the Minuteman III missile is capable of carrying 3 nuclear warheads over 60,000 miles at speeds up to 15,000 miles per hour. It's a key component of the U.S. nuclear triad, along with submarine-launched missiles and strategic bombers. The test was conducted by the 377th Test and Evaluation Group based at Vandenberg and part of the 377th Air Base Wing headquartered at Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque. Observers, including military officials and journalists, watched the missile ascend into the night sky despite a light fog.
We were gathered at an outdoor observation point overlooking the Pacific Ocean.
Algernon DeMassa, who's the Journal's Southern New Mexico correspondent, was in California to watch the ICBM launch.
The missile launched and there was a very clear fireball from the ignition, and then we watched the rocket sort of in silhouette as it moved up into the air over the ocean and then started to pick up speed. It goes up to 15,000 miles an hour. This is a hypersonic missile, and it traveled 4,200 miles to the Marshall Islands and splashed down in the ocean there within about a half hour or so.
Air Force officials emphasized that these tests, conducted 3 times annually over 50 years, are planned 5 years in advance and not influenced by global events. They also notified Russia as the test per standard protocol. With more than 300 similar tests completed, the Department of Defense plans to phase out the Minuteman III over the next decade in favor of the newer Sentinel missile. Air Force leaders reaffirmed that these launches are to ensure the reliability and effectiveness of the nation's nuclear deterrent. 2 national child welfare experts have raised concerns over a legislative proposal that would restructure New Mexico's Children's, Youth, and Families Department. The proposed House Joint Resolution, backed by House Speaker Javier Martinez and Representative Eleanor Chavez, seeks to remove CYFD from the governor's direct oversight and place its governance under a 5-member appointed commission. Judith Melzer, of the Center for Study of Social Policy, and Kevin Ryan, a public catalyst, warned in a letter to CYFD officials that this shift could make meaningful reform more difficult. The experts, who were hired by the state to monitor CYFD's compliance with a federal lawsuit settlement, emphasized that in other states, direct governor oversight has been crucial for successful child welfare reforms. They cited New Jersey and Washington, D.C. as examples where child welfare agencies improved after maintaining cabinet-level status. Representative Chavez responded to the concerns, stating that this was the first time lawmakers had heard opposition from the independent experts. She argued that CYFD's long-standing problems predate the 2018 Kevin S. lawsuit, and that despite the settlement, the agency made little progress in protecting children. She emphasized that New Mexicans deserve a say in how to fix the system.
This is just, I think, exasperation from legislators.
Colleen Heald is the Journal's investigative reporter and has been covering CYFD.
In general, that they feel like they have to do something. Their constituents are demanding it. They've said that for a number of years.
This proposal would require voter approval in the 2026 general election or a special election before the commission could take control. This is one of several legislative efforts to increase CYFD accountability, including House Bill 5, which would create an Office of Child Advocate within the Department of Justice to investigate complaints, and Senate Bill 307, which would establish an independent CYFD ombudsman's office. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has taken an active role in overseeing CYFD, appointing Teresa Casados as acting secretary in 2022 before making her the cabinet secretary. Despite efforts to address child abuse, staff turnover, and foster care shortages, the agency has struggled to meet the terms of the settlement agreement. Attorneys for the plaintiffs in Kevin S. has criticized CYFD's failure to lower caseloads for protective services workers, and an independent arbitrator recently confirmed that the agency had violated parts of the agreement. As the debate over CYFD's future continues, legislators and experts remain divided on the best path forward to ensure New Mexico's most vulnerable children receive the care and protection they need. The University of New Mexico and Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller's office have signed a non-binding memorandum of understanding to explore bringing the university's operations to downtown Albuquerque.
So for us, today, of course, we're going to sign an MOU to commit to just that, to finding a way to bring Lobos downtown each and every day.
This move is part of a broader effort to revitalize the area and strengthen the city's economic and cultural landscape.
Most thriving cities also have a thriving downtown.
Journal reporter Noah Kalabach covers city government for the paper.
So it just kind of reinforces Albuquerque's effort to bring people downtown, to bring businesses, and at this point, I'd say universities universities down there and just kind of spur the local economy and create some growth in that corridor.
The Memorandum of Understanding grants UNM the option to establish a presence at one or more of 3 locations: the parking lot between 3rd and 4th Street, the First Plaza Galleria, or the former Bernalillo County Courthouse on Tijeras Northwest. Mayor Keller previously expressed support for this initiative, offering to provide city-owned land free of charge to those contributing to downtown's redevelopment. David Campbell, who's the executive director of Lobo Development Corporation, highlighted the collaboration as a way to bring, quote, academic excellence and innovative research directly to the heart of the city. City Chief Administrative Officer Samantha Single noted that discussions about a downtown expansion predate the Keller administration, but have intensified over the past 4 months. UNM's potential move aligns with several city-led efforts to revitalize downtown, including the recent approval of a tax increment financing district, a vacancy bill penalizing long-term vacant properties, and plans for a privately run business improvement district. Single emphasized that integrating higher education into downtown has proven benefits, citing her experience with Central New Mexico Community College's expansion into the area. As planning progresses, the city and university officials see this partnership as a key component to Albuquerque's economic and urban development strategy. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Today you can expect mostly sunny skies with a high near 63, and this evening partly cloudy with a low around 29. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. I'm Gino Gutierrez. The leading news will return tomorrow.